Hey, everybody. Welcome to Takeoff with John Clark, presented by Rivers Casino and the Phillies. You got to love to say it. They are the best team in baseball. They have the best record in baseball. We don't say that this early very on. Now, let's bring in a guy. Of course, Phillies legend Larry Bowa. He's got the connection to the other two fastest starts in Phillies history after like 37 games. 1976, Larry Bowa, you guys. And then 1993, when you were with the Phillies, of course, coaching. So
Right.
pretty cool. This is the third best start to a Phillies season ever.
It really is, John. And I think it started in spring training. I really think that our guys came in with a sour taste in their mouth. I'm not taking anything away from Arizona, but we felt that coming back from Arizona up 3-2, we got to win one of those games. And it didn't happen. And I think, sometimes when you get beat like that and you know that the job has not been finished, I think it's a motivation thing. And these guys have been motivated from the first day of spring training. I think they're really trying to get to where they're supposed to be. We come close 2 years ago. Last year, like I said, I don't want to take anything away from Arizona. They beat us, but we come within one game of doing it again. And I think this year the ingredients are all there. Dave Dombrowski's done a tremendous job. Our pitching's been phenomenal. We're hitting the ball. I don't think you can ask for a better start than what we've done right now. Everybody's contributing, and I really believe this is going to be a fun team to watch the rest of the summer. I know people ask me, "Oh, we haven't played anybody," but the bottom line on that, John, is the teams you're supposed to beat, you got to beat, and that's what we're doing. We're beating the teams. They come in here a little bit undermanned, and we're doing what we have to do.
Yeah, and Larry, they were crushing teams. I mean, they were rolling through teams. And it's interesting you say that because you were down there at spring training when you saw this group coming back together and they had that shared experience together of coming up short. Do you sense that having that couple of years together, they put a bunch of free agents together, but having that couple of years together, they've got that shared experience now together? How important is that?
I think that's really important, John. It sort of reminds me of our team in the mid 70s. We kept coming up a little short, but we kept everybody together. And I look at this as the same thing happening. And I'm sure if we do need anything as of right now, it doesn't look like we need anything. But if we do, I'm sure Dave Dombrowski is going to go out and do what he has to do. We know, when I say we, the organization, the players, myself, coaches, that if we don't go real deep, it's not considered a good year because we are meant to win now. Our payroll is way up there. I don't think it's higher than the Dodgers. We're right up there, though. And I think these guys feel a sense of urgency because, let's face it, you only get so many opportunities, John. And I'm not saying our window's closing, but our guys, a lot of them are in their early 30s. And I know that's still young, but sometimes in baseball, when you go, it goes fast. And hopefully there's a sense of urgency, which I do see right now, that they want to get to the promised land with this team.
And usually here in Philly, Larry, we're used to the slow starts. Even under Charlie Manuel, those great teams, they would start off like 1-6 or something like that. Were you surprised at all that they came out of the gate like this, or did you expect that from the vibe you got at spring training?
I got that vibe in spring training, John. They kept harping on, hey, you know what? It's hard to play catch up all year, even though we beat the Braves 2 years in a row. Chasing, it wears you out. And the mantra basically was let them chase us this year. Let us win the division. And that mindset has been going on in the clubhouse since the first day of spring training. And I really feel these guys, they feel like they're on a mission right now. And like I said, I don't see any weakness in this ball club whatsoever. The offense is hitting on all cylinders. The defense has played very good. The pitching, as I said earlier, it's been off the charts. I think the key here, John, as you well know, you cover everything. We got to stay healthy. And I know losing Trey, it hurts right now. I think we can afford to lose an everyday guy more than maybe a starting pitcher. Our pitching right now is locked in. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, you said it. Of course, the best starting staff in the National League. Who has impressed you the most with the way they've come out of the gate out of the starters?
Ranger's been unbelievable. And nothing against Ranger. He's come in the last couple of years, not out of shape, but there's always been a nagging injury, whether it's a hamstring, whether he had a little tendonitis in his left arm. I think this year, and of course he went to the World Baseball Classic and that didn't go over too good. But I think this year It looks like he's on a mission. He's throwing the ball extremely well. It looks like he's playing catch when he pitches. There's no effort. You wouldn't know if you're winning 10-0 or losing 10-0 when you watch Ranger pitch. And Wheeler's been off the charts. I mean, I know his record's 3-3, but check his ERA, check his innings pitched, his hits. He's a horse. And Nola today, I thought he pitched well. He had a couple balls sneak through today. I did think we were going to pull that out in the late innings. Their bullpen, when I talk about Toronto, they're not too good right now. And we had a rally going there in the ninth inning. But I just like the way the fight we have right now. I like the way everybody's picking everybody up. Let's face it, Harp's starting to get really hot, but he hasn't been real hot early. He's going to get hot. Cassidy looks like he's coming out of his. And Stott has been very consistent. Bohm has been, if I had to pick an everyday player, the pitcher's Ranger that I'm really pleased with, but Bohm has really turned it up a notch, both offensively and defensively. But you know what, John? This guy works. He's a very hard worker. He takes a lot of pride in what he does, and I'm very happy that he's having the kind of year he's having.
Yeah, and Larry, with Alec Bohm, I mean, he was right there with the best batting average in baseball, most RBIs. Of course, his hitting streak came to an end, but you see that he's chasing a lot less now. How impressive is that? And did you see some things in spring training where he was working on maturing as a hitter?
Oh, yeah, you can see that. Yeah, I saw it last year a lot. This guy, he takes a lot of pride in not striking out. And I like where they're hitting him in the lineup. He comes up with men on base. He's going to put the ball in play for the most part. But he works at his trade, believe me. He's going to get stronger as far as, when I say stronger, I don't mean physically, but the mentality, his brain is going to start reacting in different situations. He's going to start looking balls center in when the count's 2-0 or 3-1. You're going to see this guy hit some home runs here. I know right now everybody's happy with his 350 or whatever it is, and I am too. But I wouldn't be shocked to see this guy hit 25 to 30 home runs. He's starting to mature, not only as a hitter, but he's thinking the game a lot more. He knows what the pitchers are trying to do to get him out. And as you said, he's not chasing nearly as much as he had early in his career.
And you talked about how a lot of guys haven't gotten going yet, like Stott and Harper and guys like that. Harper is now, but is that what's pretty impressive offensively? It's kind of been a different guy getting streaky. You had Brandon Marsh for a little while. You've of course got Alec Bohm lately. Trey's been great the whole time, but that it's been different guys getting hot at certain times.
Yeah, usually, real good teams rely on one or two guys and they get on their back and carry them, but that's not the case here. And you take a look at this last streak that we've been playing. We're not winning by one run. We're blowing people out. And when you have two or three guys that aren't hitting the way we know they're going to hit, and we're still blowing people out, that's a great sign. And I see nothing but good things ahead here. I mean, we're going down on this road trip now. We got Miami, nothing against Miami. They're banged up. Their pitching staff's banged up. Then we go to New York. They're playing around 500. But our schedule is very good for us this year. Usually the second half, it becomes a little bit easier the last couple of years. This year, it seems like it's reversed. The first half, there's no easy wins, but it's a little bit more to get through the first half. The second half, we got a tough schedule. That's why the more wins we can win right now and build that lead against Atlanta, I'm all in on that, because Atlanta's going to stay right where they are. It's going to be the Phillies and the Braves. They're both going to get to the playoffs, and we're going to have that head-to-head matchup again. And I'm sure Atlanta's a little bit upset that we've beaten them twice, but we have a little thing going for us too, that we were upset that we didn't get to where we wanted to go last year.
You're totally right. And then it's unfortunate what's happening with the pitching injuries, but just how crushing is it for the Braves, the loss of Spencer Strider?
It's huge to be like us losing Wheeler. When you lose your number one, stop losing streaks. When you lose 2, 3, 4 games in a row and the big boy comes up, you know that if we get 1 or 2 runs, we got a chance to stop this streak. But when you don't have him out there, and I'm nothing against the rest of their rotation, but he is a legit stopper. He's a number one. And to have him lost for the year, I didn't really like seeing that. You don't like seeing anybody get hurt. But the fact that he is hurt, we have to take advantage of that. Because I don't know, Fried started off so-so. He's pitching a little bit better now. Morton is a little bit older now. He's getting up in age. I like our top 3 guys. I like all 5 of our starters. But if we get into a playoff when we get to the playoffs, we got 3 pitchers. They can shut down anybody. You're talking about Wheeler, Nola, and Ranger. Again, health is very important. If they can stay healthy, I wouldn't be afraid to go to battle with anybody in the American League or the National League.
Yeah, Larry, when I sat down with Dave Dombrowski at spring training, and you've probably had these same conversations, he builds this for the postseason to have those three in a series. If it's, best of three, okay, then best of seven. Would you at this point, it's a long way away, but I mean, is Ranger Suarez kind of cementing himself almost as a two, if you go righty, lefty, righty?
Oh, there's no question you could do that. Well, we could put any of those three really. If something drastically should happen to Wheels, you could go to either one of those guys and put them one. But the fact that you have three of them that have all pitched very well, that's very impressive. And Dave's done it unbelievable. Well, he's used to it. Everywhere he goes, he's very successful. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. There's no doubt in my mind. And you have to give John Middleton as much credit because he's writing the checks out. But Dave is really into putting the right team together. The chemistry's big with Dave, which I think is very important. A lot of people don't think chemistry's big. I think it's huge. And we know going in every series, we got 5 guys now. We can shut you down. We can shut you down. I mean, right now, even Sanchez last night, a great game. He came off a so-so game. He's come up with a great changeup. So, we're deep, and you have to be deep because someone's going to go down. Hopefully it's not serious, whether it's tendonitis or he's got a lot of innings. Let's skip him one time through the rotation. To have depth like we have, I think is very important.
And even like you saw kind of just resting Zach Wheeler a little bit for a stretch,
Right.
that could happen again at some point, or Nola because of the innings that he's had. And then you got Spencer Turnbull waiting in the wings.
And Turnbull's done a tremendous job. We got this guy. I think I read where we signed him for $2 million. Not that $2 million is not a lot of money, but in baseball,
in your day, that would have been highest paid player.
Right. But $2 million in the way baseball is now, you got a bargain, believe me. And he's pitched exceptionally well. So, I think we're set. I really think we're set. We're in a good position right now. The players have all bought in. They know how important it is for us to get to the final step here. And I think they're a little bit frustrated. And I keep reverting back to the last year because I heard that in this clubhouse all spring training. That can't happen again. It shouldn't have happened. We got caught with our concentration level just completely left us. Because if you look at those last 2 games, we swung at a lot of bad pitches. I mean, like I said, I don't want to take anything away from Arizona, but we got ourselves out. They didn't get us out. So I think we've learned. A lot of times you learn from negative things that happen. And I think we've learned our lesson. So we just got to get to the finish line, and I think we're going to take care of business.
And Larry, you, of course, one of the reasons why Philly loves you is you wore your heart on your sleeve. And you see Bryce Harper today because he had a monster 3 games with 10 RBIs, 3-run homers in each or better, the grand slam. But then you see he goes 0 for 4, and then he slings his bat into the netting in front of the dugout. You kind of feel that vibe with Bryce. You were kind of the same guy. You don't hide that stuff.
No, he's intense. He wants to win. There's no question about it. He's done a tremendous job playing first. Anybody that plays the outfield their whole career and then comes in here, he's done a great job. But he doesn't like hitting. I don't even know what he's hitting, 250. He knows he's going to hit close to 300. He knows he's probably going to get 35 or 40 home runs. That's a good feeling to have when you're a player, knowing, okay, they're getting me out right now. But you can see signs right now. When he starts hitting balls to left center field, I wouldn't want to pitch against this guy because he's starting to get locked in. But he was frustrated today. That last at bat, he thought he had a pitch to hit. I know he got upset on the umpire's call. He thought the one pitch should have been a ball, which would have put him in a good hitter's count. And it turned out to be a pitcher's count. He ended up rolling the ball over. But I like that intensity of him. I think that there's nothing wrong with a guy wanting to get a hit every time up. We know it's not going to happen. But that mentality, he wants to be the man in crucial situations. And so far, he's responded unbelievably.
Yeah, of course, some of his teammates call him the showman, and he's got the headband to match it.
Oh, let me tell you, when that red light goes on, that's why the closest we got a long way to go to playoffs. But when those playoffs start, when you think he's locked in during the season, it's unbelievable how locked in he gets there. He wants to be the guy. And there's not too many superstar players. I mean, most of them want to be the guy, but they don't like failure. Bryce knows if he fails one day, he wants that same situation the next night because he's going to get you. And I think that's why he's such a great ball player.
You talked about the intensity in the playoffs, and when you're around the team, do you sense when the playoffs come for Bryce or those big moments? Is he a little quieter, or you just see the intensity on his face?
No, you see the intensity. You see his batting practice. You see his concentration level. I'm not saying he doesn't concentrate all the time,
Right.
but there's another level, man. Just in basketball, the same way. Football, when playoffs start, you hear players say, "Oh, it's another game now. It's different. It's different. It is different." You got to really focus on the little things, and I don't think he has any problem at all doing that
Yeah.
when the playoffs start. He has no problem doing it during the season, but he goes to another level during the playoffs.
You talked about the chemistry, and obviously Dave Dombrowski said that they needed to bring in some veteran leadership. They brought in Schwarber. So could you describe the clubhouse for Phillies fans? Is Bryce like the guy who kind of brings the intensity, and maybe is Schwarber the guy who kind of brings the comfort level and getting everybody together, having everybody get along and do things together with the guys?
I think you hit it around the head. Schwarb's that kind of guy, and Hart brings the intensity. But if I had to pick the one leader, I mean, if you had to pick one, I like both of them. You got to say Schwarb, because even if Schwarb strikes out 4 times and he goes 0 for 4 and we win, he's the same. I mean, he knows he's getting his 35 or 40. Hart, sometimes if he goes 0 for 4, he's disappointed. He wants to get a hit every time up, and there's nothing wrong with that. But Schwarb sort of keeps that even keel the whole year. Both those guys are very important. And you can throw JT in there. We got a lot of guys that can do that. And I think that's important when you have a team like ours. And you have the 2 guys like Bohm and Marshy who keep things loose. They're a little bit younger, and they have their fun. Even a guy like our backup catcher, he's unbelievable. Yeah. And Stott at second. It's just the right – it seems like it's the right mix. We got the veterans that can lead. We got the younger guys that know when to say something and when to not say something, but they've all come along. They've matured to the unbelievably quick for me. I didn't think that Stott could really blend in like he does in Bohm. I'll be honest with you, John. When I first saw Bohm, I didn't think he could play third base, because I scouted him. Me and Charlie went and watched him in college, and I said, first thing I said is, I don't know if he could play third. And through work and Bobby Dickerson helping him at third base, this guy's become a very, very good third baseman, and he's starting to hit the way everyone thought he was going to hit.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a testament to Bobby Dickerson, and then the hard work, because you got Stott that moves from short to second. They got Bryce Harper learning a completely new position. Right. So the infield, pretty amazing, like you said, with the defense.
And you know what? I think the other thing you got to give credit to is Rob Thompson. When you have that many, we have some real good players. I mean, we know Harp's a superstar, but we have other guys that are just maybe a tick below superstar. And sometimes it's hard to keep everybody happy. And Thompson's done a tremendous job that way. Same thing in the bullpen. We got some power arms down there. He can go to anybody in a closing situation. I mean, you see Hoffman end up closing some games. And Alvarado, I mean, those guys throw the ball extremely well. And to keep everybody on the same page, I think Thompson's done a tremendous job in keeping the clubhouse loose and dropping the hammer when he has to. Nobody knows sometimes when he gets on somebody. He takes it in the back room and it's squared away. It doesn't get out of hand. And I think you got to give him a lot of props, because he's done a great job.
And he does do that from time to time. He'll get on guys in private.
Yeah, he will. Yeah, he will. In his own way, he watches everything. He's been around. He's been in the minor leagues. He's been a third base coach, first base coach, bench coach. He knows what it's about. And he knows there's going to be days where guys come in and maybe they go and running home to first. It's not 100, but if they give him 80, 85, he's good with that. He doesn't like that 25 or 30%. But and when he takes a pitcher out, you can see sometimes the pitcher's frustrated, but you never see anybody like arguing with him out there. They hand him the ball and they move on. They might say something after the game, say, "Hey, Thompson, I think I should have stayed in." He might say, "Well, I'm glad you think that, but this is a reason." He always has a reason for when he makes a move, which I think is important, because the players today, if you do something, they want to know why. Back when we played, if a manager made a decision, you said, "Okay, that's the way it is." Now, maybe they're a little more sophisticated. It's a different breed now. You better have answers for them if you take them out or if you pinch hit for them. And Tom seems to give the right answer all the time.
Yeah, I'm imagining a conversation between you and Dallas Green, and you trying to figure out why, and then maybe just a
No,
few
that,
MFs back and forth.
no, that's a one-way conversation. It might start out two-way, but it ends up one way. Dallas ends up with the last word.
uh, you mentioned the bullpen and Rob Thompson and what he does with the bullpen. And Rob, he said in spring training, yeah, he'd like to have a closer. So in your mind, as a former manager, would you like to have a closer, or are you okay with matchups these days and whatever's working?
I think when I manage, I would rather have a closer. But the way the game is now, the way that the analytics come into play now, they have these little blocks where these three hitters, if you bring this guy in, there's with the way the pitch selection with the pitcher you're bringing in, they have trouble hitting this guy. So sometimes maybe he might bring Alvarado in the eighth inning and use Hoffman in the ninth. He's got the ability to mix and match, which I think is good. But you got 4 or 5 arms down there that throw well over 95 miles an hour. And really, you could probably hand that ball to a lot of those guys, and they're going to do the job. But the way the analytics have sort of taken over as far as when to pitch a guy and who they're pitching against, I think they've done a good job there, and Rob's done a good job with that.
Hey, celebrity cook Steve Martirano is bringing his Italian-American cooking back home to Philly, where it started. Enjoy Martirano's Prime at Rivers Casino and Steve's famous meatballs with Sunday gravy, prime steaks, and more. So make reservations for Martirano's Prime on Open Table. I've been to the one in Fort Lauderdale. I'm glad it's back in Philly. So when you were down at spring training with the team every day, and you saw Zach Wheeler, he was working on the new pitch, and he was going to unveil it. How much do you think it's helped him? Is he using it a little more now?
He is, but I told him before, I said, I don't think you need any help. I don't think you need another pitch. He says, well, hitters make adjustments. But, yeah, he's using it a little bit more. But, again, I'm watching him pitch. Personally, I don't think he needs it. But if he thinks in his mind that he's maybe upsetting the timing of a hitter, a good hitter, let him do it. This guy, to me, he's the best pitcher in the National League. I really believe that. I mean, when you watch I know his record's 500, but check his ERA, innings pitched, hits, strikeouts. And when he does get hit, he doesn't give up 4 or 5 runs. They might get a run here or a run there. He always keeps you in the game. And I think that's the mark of a number one. He just, going out there, if you get 2 runs, you have a chance to win the ball game 2-1 or 2-0.
And the thing about Ranger that Rob Thompson and everybody always talks about, team has no heartbeat. Like he never sweats anything. Could you imagine a day in the life of Ranger Suarez being so calm like that?
No way. I'm trying to think of somebody that looked like, Maddox used to look like he was playing catch. He was that much under control. The ball had great life to it. And it didn't look like it. Every pitch was like, it was an effortless. It wasn't max effort. And that's what Ranger does. You don't ever see a Ranger grunting or throwing 96 miles an hour. He's always in that range, 92, 93, 94. But he's got the ability to mix in a cutter, a changeup, a slider, a good fastball, a sinking fastball, 4-seam fastball. He's got all the ingredients. The only thing that stopped him is his health. He's always had these nagging injuries. And again, I'm going to knock on wood here. Hopefully he can stay healthy because he's lights out right now.
And when you look at his lack of emotion and just controlling everything, the one thing I always hear from Phillies fans, they keep asking, why does Nick Castellanos keep chasing bad pitches all the time? and obviously you can tell Nick, he's got a lot of emotion in him.
Yeah, he does.
Now, sometimes he doesn't show it all the time, but like he has a lot of stuff in him, emotion and stuff. Why do you think sometimes he just can't control himself and goes after those bad pitches?
I think sometimes, John, he wants to get 3 hits and 1 at bat. I mean, he knows he's got out of the gate a little slow. But I try to remind everybody that tells me about Nick to think about last year now. He carried this team for a long time. And the back of that bubblegum card, John, does not lie. I'm not saying where he's at right now he's going to get there, but he's going to be in that range. Today, he swung the bat. I thought he swung the bat good today. He got a couple of hits. He hit an 0-2 pitch the last or 8th inning, I think, to right field. 8th or 9th inning. I'm missing up on the innings, but yeah. He had some good at bats. A couple games, he had 3 walks. And you think in your mind, you're saying, okay, he's getting there. Then the next game, he might have 3 strikeouts.
Right.
But I will say this guy puts in the work. I ain't giving up on Cassidy. I just think he's going to get a streak here where we're going to be able to jump on his back like we did last. We rode him for a long time last year, and everyone wants to say, "Oh, he didn't do that." He did. Towards the end, nobody did that good. We were all swinging at bad pitches, but I'm not giving up on Cassidy. I think this guy, he's very intense. He wants to do good. He works hard. This guy goes out every day, takes his fly balls, takes extra BP. It's not from lack of effort, believe me. And I guarantee he goes up there. Sometimes it looks like he's made up his mind he's going to swing at this pitch no matter where it's at. But I don't think that's the case. I just think he's super aggressive, and he's got to just slow it down just a little bit.
Yeah. Speaking of slowing down, these stolen bases that are happening in baseball, you can't slow down people. I mean, are catchers not even really in control anymore and able to throw guys out? I think it's like 80-something% success rate with stolen bases.
If I watch one game, like today, I watched our game. Now tonight, I'll watch some late games. We're the only team that I've watched when it's first and third, we throw through. These other teams just let the guys run. It doesn't matter. It could be 1-0. They let them. That's the part that baffles me. I do not understand. I'm not going to ever understand that. We're just going to let them walk down to second base. We throw the ball through. In fact, we've had a couple double steals where we got caught a couple times. Trey Turner's streak ended because the guy faked and they got him all, coming down third. Yeah. But from then on, I haven't seen one catcher throw the ball to second base, first and third. It's like, okay, let him go. That part of the game, it's going to be hard for me to understand that, especially when you're only winning by a run, 1-0 or 2-1. You're going to let the go-ahead run just trot down there without making a play. Yeah. But the new rules have enabled teams to do this, and that's why you have a high percentage of stolen bases. Let Ricky Henderson and Vince Coleman, let those guys have these rules. They might steal 150 bases. I mean, these rules, that's one rule I don't get. You throw over twice, and if you don't get them the third time, it's a balk. But it is what it is, and I'm sure there's going to be a few more rule changes. You just got to make the adjustment. It's a different game now, and that part of it, as far as the trying to stop first and third, that bothers me to see these catchers just, okay, let me throw it back to the pitcher. But it is what it is. Yeah,
and what do you think the pitch clock has done for the game? Obviously, we love being home for dinner or, back home at, 10 o'clock, whatever. But, I mean, what do you think it's done for the game?
I like it. I like the speed up. In fact, we didn't have that problem. We had guys got the ball, they threw it. There weren't no walk-up songs where you had to wait till the song was completed. But I watched this guy today for Toronto. He's driving me crazy with the earpiece, shaking off. The umpire had to go off. I couldn't watch that. I know he gets 30 to 35 starts. I think if I was a manager or coach, I'd have to go underneath and just say, tell me when this was over. Right. I mean, it was ridiculous how this guy took his time. I think the pitch clock got him. I know it got him once. I think he got warned once. And then all of a sudden the earpiece doesn't work. And I'm saying, why does he need the earpiece? Because he's got a thing on his hip. He's calling his own pitches. I have no idea why he wanted the earpiece, because he likes to work slow. And I think that's what happened today with our hitter. He put us to sleep because he didn't have really overpowering stuff. Right. And if you look at his ERA and everything, it has not been very good. I'm not saying he's not a good pitcher, but he's gotten out of the gate very slow. And he gave us some problems today. I mean, he pitched a good game against us, even though it was boring to watch how slow it was. I don't know if you're an infielder, how you can do that. You're on your heels, guys shaking off, stepping off, catcher goes out. Then a guy hits you a hard ground ball and you're not ready for it. And he gives you this stare like, well, get it and throw it. Right. That's what you're supposed to do. Get the ball and throw the ball.
So it's interesting because, you and I both golf. And one of the things that I struggle with, of course, is that the ball is not moving. But sometimes when you're backed up a little bit and then you get that break, were there pitchers in the game, Larry, that literally knew that if they just slowed everything down to a snail's pace, they could get you as a hitter?
A lot of Steve Traxel was one. They used to call him
human rain delay, right?
Yeah. I can't. If they had a pitch clock on him, it'd have been 8 or 9 a game that they'd have called on him. But there's some pitchers that when they get in a jam, they slow everything down. And I remember, and I know Carlton was a great pitcher, but when he got in a jam, it seemed like get the ball and throw it. He knew what he wanted to do. He knew what his game plan was. Those great pitchers, when they're in a jam, they know what they want to do. They don't have to think about it. They have an idea. They have a game plan. But some of these guys, man, they need that extra 20, 25 seconds. And I think it had a lot to do with Nola last year. I think he had trouble adjusting to that. You know, he's one of those guys that likes to think about the situation and think about how he got the hitter out last time. But I think he's made a good adjustment and picking it up real quick.
Yeah, and earlier we talked about Trey Turner, how big of a loss it is for 6 weeks, but you've seen Edmundo Sosa and the different situations that they can have now. How do you think this is going to affect them, though? Because Trey Turner obviously wanted to impress so bad when he came to Philly last year with the big contract, and you saw him struggle for a while. The standing ovations really helped, and he was off to a hot start, and now he's got to sit and watch for 6 weeks when he was hot.
Well, I'm not on the inside here, but I do talk to guys. I don't think it's going to be 6 weeks, but we'll just leave it at that.
All right, I like to hear that.
I don't think this guy's going to skip a beat. I think he's probably hitting balls off. I don't know this. Probably hitting balls off the tee underneath. I don't think he's. I really don't think it's going to matter to this guy. He's a great player. He's a great hitter. I think you got to be careful that you don't want to bring him back too soon. A hamstring is a tough injury. I don't think I know it's a grade 2 according to the reports and everything. It shocked me because he scored from second on a wild pitch, and I'm going, when did he do this? You know, but if you watch the replay, it was right before he's at home plate. You could see him sort of pull up a little bit. But I getting back to what you said, I think he definitely wanted to impress everybody last year. He went to the World Baseball Classic and all that. He wasn't with his teammates. He got out of the gate slow. I don't think we have to worry about that. Even when he comes back, I think he's got the kind of swing that is not going to take that many at-bats to get back in the groove. Are we going to miss him? Yeah, we're going to miss him. But we have that flexibility. We're talking about flexibility. We got Merrifield who could play there if you want. You got Stott you can move over there. You got Sosa. We got a lot of guys. Well, that's what's good about our roster. These guys don't just play one position. They play everywhere. You got Marsh who can play all 3 outfield positions. You know, and I think that's important. You got a guy like Pache, if somebody went down, he could go out there and play. So there's a lot of flexibility. And we're bringing up Clemens, who did huge last night, what he did. This guy could be playing on a lot of big league teams right now. And I know he wants to be in the big league, but he wants to play here. So, I mean, the flexibility on our team is probably as good as anybody's in baseball. We can move guys around and not skip a beat.
All right, Larry, I'm going to put you on the spot because obviously it's the Phillies, it's the Dodgers, you got the Brewers, you got some good teams, but who's got the better lineup, the Phillies or the Dodgers?
We do. Top to bottom, us. The first 5 hitters in the Dodger lineup, I'm not going to – they're really good. But I'll take our lineup top to bottom. In fact, the Braves lineup is good.
Yeah.
I'll take our lineup top to bottom of anybody. I already said it's going to be a Baltimore-Philly World Series, so I'm sticking with that. And Baltimore, they're very impressive. I'm not going to lie to you. I've watched them a lot. They're very young. They're athletic. They have great arms. What they do need probably is somebody at the end. Nothing against Kimbrel, but it's towards the end of his career. I would look for that team at the break maybe to go out and try to pick up a closer. Maybe it's somebody that's out of it or something. I'll take our lineup with anybody. I think it'd be a great series, the Phillies and Baltimore. I'm not worried about the Dodgers for some reason.
You're not worried about the Dodgers?
I'm not. I'm still, the Braves are still on my mind. I know that their pitching's not what it should be or where it should be without the number one guy, but they have a good lineup. They score a lot of runs, especially at home. It's going to be a good matchup, the Phillies and Braves. Whoever wins this division, which I think we are, I'd like us to have that rest. Even though everyone says you don't want to rest, I think it'd be great, especially with our pitchers. If they don't miss any starts, that layoff might help a lot.
Yeah, that's
I know
a
I'm
good point.
way ahead of myself, but
yeah.
I like this team, John. I like this team a lot.
Yeah, and that's a good point about Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola, the amount of innings especially. And Larry, of course, you know Philadelphia, we're 2 months into the season, and I almost got a sense like everybody's like, wow, the Phillies are really, really good. And they're like, boy, we have nothing to complain about. Because usually Philadelphia, we like to have something to complain about. There's really not much to complain about right now.
The other thing, John, I'll say, we can't keep this. We all know you can't keep this pace up. You win an 18 out of 21. I mean, that's unheard of.
Yeah, they were on pace for 114 wins until today.
Right.
Yeah.
We know that's not going to happen. I mean, we know that some of our pitchers are going to hit a little wall every now and then. Our hitters aren't going to be hitting on all cylinders. But I just like the depth of our lineup. I like the depth of our pitchers. I like our bullpen. So if we do hit these little stumps that happen in baseball, which everybody knows, every team goes through them. I don't care how great you are, you're going to hit a little roadblock every now and then. I think we have the makeup of the individuals in that clubhouse and the pitching staff to overcome the little bumps in the road, and I think we're going to be just fine. I don't want anything to worry about. I hope the only way I'd worry if two pitchers went down, then I'd say, "Ooh, that hurts." But yeah. Right now, I'm not worried about anything on this team.
And Larry, Philly is waiting for that next team to get over the hump, because the Eagles last year were the best team in the NFL at 10-1. We saw what happened. The Sixers were up on the Celtics the year before. We've seen this. The Phillies were up. So Philly's waiting for the team to finish the job.
I want 80 to resurface here again. Not just because of the World Series, but because every one of those teams went to the finals. Yeah. And I see the Flyers are making strides. They're getting better.
They're still a ways away, though.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, but the Sixers are a very good team. We got to keep Embiid healthy. I get that. And, of course, the Eagles, they're in it every year. So it'd be nice. It sort of electrifies the whole city. When you have four teams that go all the way to the end, even though one just won everything and the other three were runners-up, that's a great feeling. Everybody's happy. Every restaurant you go into, every bar you go to, hey, how's it going? Everybody's happy. Yeah. We got to keep that good mojo going right here.
Well, Larry, I tell you what, I think it's fantastic that you as a Californian make your home in the Philly area, and you're still watching the games every day. It is amazing. Nobody loves baseball more than you and Charlie Manuel. I love it.
I love this game, and I love where we're at right now. I love the direction we're going. I love the way John Middleton says, hey, I don't care what it is. Whatever it takes, I want that trophy back. He didn't say it in those words, but he said, I want that trophy back here. When you have an owner with that kind of desire to get the trophy back, it's got to motivate everybody that works for the Philadelphia Phillies. And I think John has done that.
Well, it is going to be a fun summer, Larry Bowa, and good to see you last night. Thanks for doing this. And maybe we'll do it again soon if the Phillies continuously have the best record in baseball all year.
Well, I thought we got disrespected early in the year. I looked at the thing. They had us sometimes ranked 10th or 11th, when they ranked the teams. Yeah. Then we caught fire. Now we're still, I don't think we're third. The last one I saw LA and Baltimore were 1-2 and we were 3. I think we're going to leapfrog one of those guys real quick. I'd like to leapfrog both of them, but it doesn't matter how they get right now, as long as we're there in October.
Absolutely. It's going to be fun, Larry. Thanks for your time.
All right, John, you take care.
All right. Appreciate it, Larry.